Everyone ready to go? Very good. It is 5 p.m. by my watch, so I will call the meeting to order for Wednesday, July the 17th, the Municipal Planning Commission for the City of Lacombe. You've got an agenda before you. One application and some other normal course of business. Have a motion, please. Member Gullickson.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I will move we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Any additional comments? All those in favor? I see none opposed. It is accepted. And then our minutes from May 15th. Expect everyone's had an opportunity to review them. That was a fairly lengthy meeting, if memory serves me correct. Is there any missing items to that set of minutes or anything at all that you'd like to bring up? Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other lights on, so I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is unanimous as well. In favor, thank you. We do, as I stated earlier, we do have one permit application for us for bed and breakfast at 5015 59th Street. Senior Development Officer Kirk, I understand the proponents for this item are here with us?
Correct.
Very good. Whoever the proponents are, if you'd care to come up and have a seat in the end to here. Seeing as how there's only one item on thing, we'll make you feel at home. And Development Officer Kirk, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. So the item in front of us this evening is for a bed and breakfast at 5015 59th Street. So the lot is zoned R1 residential detached district. The purpose is to provide an area for residential development in the form of detached dwellings and compatible uses. A bed and breakfast is a discretionary use. Bed and breakfast means an owner-occupied, single detached, semi-detached, or duplex dwelling where temporary accommodation is provided in 6 or less guest rooms, and meals may be supplied on a daily basis to registered guests. Administration supports the application. So tonight you're deciding on section 913(1) of the land use bylaw, where it's saying that a bed and breakfast is a discretionary use. 19 property owners were notified. At the time of writing the report, we had 4 letters received in opposition and 1 letter received in support. So the applicant is proposing to operate a bed and breakfast. So it's actually an Airbnb out of an existing residential accessory building on the site. The existing shed is being converted to a bunkie that contains sleeping accommodations for overnight guests. So the intent is for the development to be used for short-term rentals. Guests will have access to the gazebo on site, which contains an indoor cooking and dining area. There's no full-blown stove though. It's like a microwave and coffee maker and whatnot. Guests will also have access to the indoor swimming pool and the covered patio. The bed and breakfast contains 1 queen bed and 1 sofa bed, and is approximately 135 feet squared in size. So the bunkie does not contain any bathroom facilities. Guests will utilize the principal dwelling for bathroom use. The proposed use will have 2 dedicated parking stalls with access from the back alley. If you're accessing from 50th Avenue, there are 3 residences that guests would pass by on the east side of the alley to gain access to the dedicated parking stalls. The subject parcel is the first property on the west side of the alley when accessing 50th Ave. So bed and breakfast is a discretionary use in R1, R1N, R2, R4, and R5 districts. The use definition relates primarily to a traditional bed and breakfast. However, the proposed use for short-term rentals via a rental company such as Airbnb meets the bed and breakfast definition as well. The proposed use is meant to provide overnight accommodations as an alternative to hotels. Although the rental company may not require an owner to live on site, the land use bylaw definition does require the principal dwelling to be owner occupied. So if approved, the owner would be required to reside on site and have the residential component of the property as the principal use. Regardless of which rental company the proposed use is associated with, a permit for a bed and breakfast is required. There are no general regulations in the land use bylaw for a bed and breakfast. The proposed use meets the definition of bed and breakfast as portions of the use are utilized within the principal dwelling. As access is proposed via the back alley through 50th Avenue, the traffic impact would be minimal to surrounding parcels. The development will be required to adhere to the city's community standards bylaw, as well as the traffic bylaw. And the proposed use can accommodate a maximum of 4 guests for overnight accommodation. A condition of approval includes adhering to the city's community standards bylaw, traffic bylaw, and the use definition requires the development to be owner occupied, meaning that the owner shall live on site. The applicant will be required to obtain a building permit to ensure compliance with the Alberta Building Code. The Airbnb listing does state that the listing accommodates a maximum of 4 guests. No pets are allowed, no smoking, no parties or events, and quiet hours are from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. While the Airbnb regulations are not enforced by the city and may be changed by Airbnb, administration believes that with the recommended development permit conditions of approval and the Airbnb regulations in place at this time, the impact to adjacent landowners will be mitigated. So under section 3.3.3b of the land use bylaw, the Municipal Planning Commission is authorized to decide on discretionary use permits. And then we got a couple of pictures of showing the rear of the bunkie, which is the shed, where guest parking would be. That's at the rear of the lot there. And then we've got a front picture of the lot where the residents would park to the far right. Guest parking, a close up there. The middle picture is a view of the lane looking south. And then the last picture to the right is a view of the lane looking north. So the resolved that the Municipal Planning Commission approved the development permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Could you back up to where there's a very minimal distance from Highway 12 to the parking. So it'd be a very minimal amount of, for example, like a product like recycled asphalt that would reduce the dust rather than reapplying calcium chloride every year as a dust control. So I guess that's pretty much a common concern with what I read of the letters. So that could possibly be a condition, I guess, but it is quite a minimal, just a very minimal distance, really, isn't it? From, excuse me, if you could estimate from the scale of the picture from the parking to from Highway 12. Yeah, like, or anyways, just to accommodate that concern, that would be the dust. It is, you know, if they come off Highway 12, or if you would come off Highway 12 consistently and go out that way, that would address traffic and dust. If that was a direction to your tenants or occupants, I guess is where I would be. It would be a compromise through a stipulation. And I guess it's just a general concern. Is the property still for sale?
No, the lot beside us is, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw for sale sign because
There's the way it looks that way. When we bought it, there was our house and the lot beside it still at the same corner.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was just curious if this was if it was for sale. If this carried forward to the next owner, I guess that's what I apologize. I know the previous owners of it years ago was the Echo family, but okay. Thank you.
So once again with the parking, I guess I was just curious, why would you choose to make the alley the primary access to the bunkie?
Because that's the easiest way to get around it to the bunkie. The other way, you'd have to come around at the front, the north side of the house. Okay. You'd have to come all the way around the north, then the west side, and then cross the whole backyard across all the lawn.
Right.
When you come around the east side, it's about 10, 15 steps opposed to 60. So it's just a lot easier to get to the bunkie. Plus the back has a nice big parking pad. We can still use like both garages. So if you, are you able to scroll back to the picture? Again, going to the, yeah, here. So the parking pad is not actually right in front of those garages in the middle. If you can see along the windows there, underneath that, it's like angled parking. So you just drive in, so they can easily drive in and then they can just easily back out and then pull
We can
out.
still use both drive-through.
Yeah.
Garages.
Okay, so this is providing that you're heading westbound on 50th then? Because
Um,
heading eastbound, you can't turn left to go into the alley anyway.
No, you can't. And it actually, there's a sign that says you shouldn't even turn in north from that highway anyway. So most people, I'm assuming, are actually gonna come from the north, come down through the highway or through the alley.
And then they would pass more houses.
You know, I'll be honest, I can see the neighbors having dust as a concern. However, it's going to be pretty minimal trips.
Yeah, it's,
It is still a public roadway. And I guess the other thing, although it's not part of this application, and you can tell me it's none of my business, I am curious though, how it works for overnight accommodations with no washroom facility.
there is a washroom. So there's just no washroom in the bunkie. So they have access to the gazebo and then if you can, yeah, so see the pool house, that
Yes.
east wing has a bathroom in there. So
Very
we
good.
basically block it off from the inside so they can't come into our house, but they're
Perfect.
technically able to come into the pool house and then there's a bathroom attached there.
Okay,
And that's as far as they can go. So there is a full bathroom for them.
wonderful. Now I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
That was all the questions I have. I mean, I like to be open to these types of alternate accommodation types.
For sure.
Oh, and I'll be honest with you, it's not something I would be interested in,
Mhm.
but that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
There are people that would be, and I think it could be a unique little spot. So,
Mhm.
Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I assume this is mostly a summer rental, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could probably go 6, 7 months of the year because
Mhm.
the gazebo isn't heated, the bunkie isn't heated. So
And the majority of the time would be one vehicle if I'm not mistaken, like a family or something like that. with-
yeah, we
yeah.
have it set up so I literally painted 2 parking
Mm-hmm.
stalls, so you can have a max of, just in case 2 separate people came, but the max is 4 people,
Mhm.
but they have 2 parking stalls
But
max.
it's basically one room, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of the time it'll be mom and dad and maybe 2
Couple
kids,
kids,
it's something
yeah.
like that, or just 2 adults,
Yeah,
correct? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And now the access to that was my question, and Mary asked it regarding the access to the washrooms.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't see much issue with this. I don't think it's going to be crazy. It'd be nice if it was busy, but I don't see
Yeah.
that. There's going to be, a lot. And as far as trips to the grocery store, I think if they make one trip and get their stuff, that'll, and maybe, a couple other trips out for visiting different activities in our community. Yeah, be great. I think it'll be very limited as far as traffic goes. Things.
Member Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Is it possible to add the condition of, like, whatever 25 meters of whatever recycled asphalt on the south side, and that enter and exit from the south side? Would that be a condition?
Yep, absolutely. It's a discretionary use, so you can imply any conditions that you would like.
So, Member Ross, I would remind you that
It's
as much as I like the idea of the dust control, which theoretically could pose a problem, to expect to limit someone to only turning right while heading west or to leave heading west, I think is,
I see your
un-
concern because
unrealistic.
basically you're forced to turn right from going west and you're forced to turn west again and go back in and come back in, which is inconvenient, but it does eliminate 90% of the concern of traffic and dust, I guess. Is it practical? I don't know, but all due respect, I could see most of your occupancies being on weekends.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a, yeah, I know, like, I'm trying to respect the concerns, but yet why the concrete pillar was built a few years ago was to reduce that back alley traffic. And I
Yeah.
think that itself reduced significantly, did it not? It's, and, that was the purpose of what council and administration wanted to address that. And administration did by having that concrete barrier there. So I think historically, council and administration did alleviate that concern brought forth from citizens in the past and reduce that. But it's not really practical to keep turning right and make a big circle. But I don't know, I can see the recycled asphalt would be a lot easier than, but then do you do the whole alley? That's a significant cost. For the return to the business persons of being, all due respect, I'm going with my gut, more weekends,
Mhm.
Maybe in the summer during the week.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I like the role of NPC as ourselves because we want our applicants to succeed, but we want to address the concerns through controls and stipulations. Like that whole back alley that'd be 100 meters. That'd be very significant, but I don't know. Trying to figure out, because even calcium chloride, then you're doing that annually, and I think that's unheard of that we even do any dust control that way, is it not, Mayor Creasy?
I'm not aware of anywhere that we do it within the city limits. Member Gullickson, did you have something?
No.
Yep, very good. Anyone else? I'm sorry, I didn't even see your light.
No problem. Thank you,
Go
Mayor
ahead.
Creasy.
Very
There we
good.
go. Yeah, just a question about the building itself. Have you had a looked at as far as meeting the building code requirement?
It
For-
was, like, we don't have the permit done, but it was done by all certified people, so we don't feel it would fail anything, but we will obviously get that permit set up.
Yeah, because that is a condition as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and just further, like as far as dust control, I don't think it's reasonable to ask someone to put asphalt all the way down that spot there. That doesn't make sense to me, but if there's other means of dust control, like there is a dust control, I think we have that in here where there's dust control required anyways to meet the requirement of the standard for dust control. Where did I read that? No, the city does not typically provide dust control. Development generated traffic. Okay. Good, thank you.
Thank you. So do we want to consider some sort of a test period? I mean, quite frankly, I really don't think that the dust issue is going to materialize simply because the types of people that are going to rent a B&B, I don't think are going to be ripping up and down the alley, creating a problem. It's my expectation anyway. Could it happen? Sure, it could on any gravel roadway and public roadway in the city. But I think it's pretty unlikely. I'd like to, I don't know, if this is a big thing for the commission to consider, then perhaps some sort of a trial period or and consider it further down the road to see if in fact it doesn't materialize. As I said, I am confident that it won't. But if the rest of the commission feels that it could, then we should come up with a creative way to address it. Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. What about, is there a time frame on the discretionary permits? Is that connect like 12 or 18 months? And then it seems kind of unfair to put that in the control of a person's business, but yet, you know, you're trying to, like I say, if you're coming in from the north side, you're using the whole alley. That, and no answer for buts, because it's not really practical to be, you only got one way in and out, going turning right, making a loop, coming back. It's not practical, and it might even be dangerous with coming out onto highway, you know, the main road. But is there a time frame of a discretionary, or is that?
Chair Creasy and Member Ross, the commission certainly could add a time frame to this, make it a one-year approval. However, another option might be to direct administration to review it over the year, like give a permanent approval, but to review the dust situation over the year, either through inspection, we could do that, or complaint, we could monitor if there are any complaints. And at the end of that year, the development authority could then require dust treatment if there had been significant complaints or observed dust problems. So we certainly could add that as a condition of a year of monitoring the dust situation, or 2 years if you felt.
Certainly a practical alternative. I'm wondering if could we stipulate? I'm assuming with B&B there are instructions given to prospective clients, and that could be added into the notes that. That is a concern, and there's a make up an extremely low speed limit or something to keep it under control. I'm just searching for ways to make this work for everyone. I want to be respectful of the neighbors, but quite honestly, I really don't think this is going to be an issue.
Lacombe does have a speed limit in lanes, so we certainly can make guests through the owner, hope to make guests aware of what the speed limit would be.
There we go, Luxon.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I don't think these people are going to be the dust issue. The dust issue is the people trying to avoid the lights at Highway 12. And that's the reason they were using that lane. And that's the reason we put the cement barrier up to stop them from doing that, because they were avoiding the lights. And I think they probably, the landowners would be able to address this. I'm sure some still do, coming from the north, and cause a bit of an issue because the light, they see it change and they want to get around it and they come down that alley too quickly. I don't believe this will cause any issues with that. I think the other issue is something that if we want to address the dust issue, I don't believe it is this person's problem. I think it's either the city's problem to address it if we're going to go that far. Because if they're avoiding that light by going down that alley, that's an issue. One way to do that, to stop them from doing that and causing that issue, is to close that alley off on the south end. And I think that was one of the options we looked at and dismissed that at the time. But being a through alley, I think that's why it is a dust issue, not these people that will be here.
Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I do agree with Member Galston. I think as a city, we've tried to advocate to support our business, and this is a business. And if it does need re-graveled, it could be re-graveled with recycled asphalt to accommodate the business and the neighbors. And I think if that was an issue, then and the neighbors addressed still had a concern of it, I think as a city we could step up to the plate, and if it needs re-graveled, do that with recycled asphalt instead of regular asphalt. And I think we should do what we can to support our businesses. So I agree with Member Galston in that way, that could make, if we, how would we make a motion with the amendment of discretionary and to have planning and development to review it? And if there is still concerns, that we could still support our business and our neighbors and mutually address this. How could we,
You could certainly just add that on as a condition.
as a condition? Okay, so then we're gonna go as a recommendation as on page, what page is this? The administrator supports the application and recommends the following resolution under resolved. And then add as discretionary for 12 months to be reviewed. And then the neighbors may still have a voice of concern and the city can step up to the plate with recycled asphalt or something. But anyways, so I'll make the motion that council resolve that the Municipal Planning Commission approved the development permit for a bed and breakfast on the land zone residential detached R1 district located at 5050 and 59th Street, legally described as Lot 15, Block 3, Plan 902-0711, with the following conditions. And I apologize, but I think I'll say conditions as stated, including number 11 being discretionary for 12 months. Does that make sense?
I think we might need a little more wording than that.
I know, but obviously I'm asking for their wording for number 11.
A point of clarification through the chair. So is your intent, Member Ross, to make this a 12-month approval and come back to this commission for review at the 12-month mark? Or do you want the administration to review the dust situation during that 12 months and take measures to address it at the end of the latter? Okay. We'll work on the wording and read it back here to you. We'll just need one
No,
minute.
you just go right ahead. In the meantime, I would ask the applicants, obviously you've seen this documentation. Currently, there are 10 items that form, or 10 conditional items that form part of your package. Are you aware of each and every one of these items?
Yes.
And are you prepared to comply with each and every one of them?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Number 9, post one sign on the property directing bed and breakfast related guests to park at the rear of the property. Is that, may I just ask for the reason for that? Okay. Just because when we post, we put like specific directions, they get like an arrival package you book, then a couple days before it'll give you exact directions. And I already have them typed out where it's like tells you exactly where to turn. And if they come to the front of the house, they can just come to the door. Or like, is that something that absolutely has to be done? Have a sign out front?
It is absolutely something that has to be done unless we change it before you agree to the conditions. Yes. And we will certainly ask for some clarification on that one item when they're done with the other. Are there any other items that are of concern to you?
And the, like if it's up to code, and then the business permit.
So the building permit technically is supposed to be issued within a year of the development permit being issued, but you want that in place before you even rent it out. So you would want to get that done as soon as possible. And the business license as well. Yeah. As soon as you have a development permit, you could get your business license. Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. That was the only one I had.
Very good. So while you two are busily working away here, condition number 9, post one sign on the property directing bed and breakfast related guests to park at the rear of the property. The proponent suggested that, I think this maybe seems a little odd given that all the directions whatnot for them to park are in fact in the back, and there ought to be no reason for them to ever be in a position to be in the front to see the sign.
I do believe the intent is to have that sign at the rear, just showing them the exact place to park. Yeah. Yeah, because it just says on the property. So if you have like a welcome package that tells them to go to the back, then we're just saying put a little sign to show them exactly where to park, just to make sure that it's within the property lines.
That makes far more sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because right now what it's just directs them where to park, and then it literally says park between the two bright yellow parking stalls. Is that enough, or do you want like a sign above the that says like park? These are the yellow stalls we're talking about.
I guess I'll ask the commission if they would like a sign or if they're okay with the instructions from the landowners.
Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Member Gullickson, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think like just a thing saying guest parking, that's all you'd need there. And that would define the two spots, right? Just in between. And I think that would be good for them too. And then they know exactly where the spot is. And it doesn't have to be huge. It can just be a little banner sign. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I read that as we need a big sign out front or something, so, okay,
No, 0.16 meters is not a big sign.
yeah, okay.
You're satisfied with that explanation?
Yeah,
Very good.
So-
So then proposed for item number 11, to try and address the concerns down the road of the possibility of dust is going to be worded how?
All right, how about administration to review dust control concerns after 12 months and take control measures as required?
Does that meet the expectations of the mover for starters? Yes,
Yes, absolutely, yes, sorry.
very
That's
good.
straightforward, simple.
Thank you. Member Kents?
I'm gonna go way back. I don't like the idea. One is dust. It's tough to control. You get a lot of complaints. You could get a lot of complaints over the next year that someone's gonna have to take care of, right? So, and it can work against the applicant for the future. So I kind of disagree with even allowing it to happen in the back alley. If it's a big concern, why not use the parking out front and have them walk to the back and eliminate that issue altogether? Dust control, we have it in our back alley, the asphalt, recycled asphalt. There's potholes the size of Kansas there now. Nobody fixes them, nobody repairs them. The city doesn't take care of them. So, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. It's mixed in with the gravel. It's not really a dust control. It's more of a pain. A lot of it gets dragged onto the pavement, which again is a problem. Snow removal is tougher. So I don't think the recycled asphalt is a great idea either. It's an idea, but it's not a great idea. I noticed we have some members of the public here. I would like to see if it's for or against, and to hear the real, if there's any real concerns about it. I would, before making a decision, like to possibly hear from anybody else that has any concerns, if possible.
Thank you. Member Gullickson?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I have a little concern with the additional condition. Is that not stating that we are telling council what to do? Or administration what to do as far as that alley? And do we have the authority as MPC to do that? Because we're telling them to take care of the dust problem after a year if there's a concern. And I believe there is a concern in that alley. I don't believe this is the cause of it, but I think that is a concern. And then if that's brought forward by the public for those vehicles that are traveling down there too fast now to avoid the light, is that going to fall back onto the city to fix that for a cost of probably 40 grand or whatever it is to put that on there?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think that this particular alley is in any way, shape, or form any different than the other graveled alley within the city limits, of which there are many. And until it becomes a problem, I'm not sure that it's worth a bunch more consideration, but that's a fair enough point.
I'm just wondering if that's what we're doing here and whether we even have authority to do that as MPC.
Through the chair, Chair Creasy, no MPC, of course, can't tell council what to do. You can provide advice, I guess. We certainly could adjust that wording if the commission wanted to move it to be to the cost of the applicant, or we can adjust that conditions wording. We did have it very straightforward and simple at this point, but
Like, how do we determine it's the fault of these 20 cars that are there or whatever over the summer compared to the people that are using the alley as to circle around the light? I'm not going to stand there and check.
And that is certainly one of the nice parts about putting the onus on administration to determine.
Well, I know we can have, our planning department down there watching them. No, it's how do you determine if I come as a landowner and say, okay, they're still going down our alley fast and creating dust, then how does that fall onto these individuals? I don't see that's fair. So I just don't know how we would ever enforce it.
Can I add one more thing? So if we have guests in the back parking, that means we won't go through we have a drive-through garage. So when we don't, say we don't have guests, we would go through and then we usually go through the alley. So if we had guests there, we wouldn't go out the back anymore. We would just back out of our garage and go the front way.
Mhm.
So the amount of traffic in the back alley is going to be the exact same for us if we have a guest in the back or if we don't, just because we will back out. So just want to make that clear.
Appreciate that. So one member suggested we break from our regular protocol and invite members of the gallery to speak. Certainly not a normal course of business. However, in the interest of being our harmonious neighborhood, if someone feels strongly enough to come forward and would like to speak to the Municipal Planning Commission, I am willing to allow a few moments for you to do so. So you can think about that, and if you're so inclined, we would certainly like to hear from you. Certainly.
Would you like us
Come
to go?
No, that's fine. Do we have any of the other microphones activated or no? You know what? If it was easy, we would have anybody do your hard job. Yep. So as you may or may not know, all of these proceedings are recorded. So we'll just allow our IT expert here an opportunity to get the sound up and running on that particular microphone, and then we'll be prepared to proceed. So just so you're aware, there is no light on that unit. Okay, thank you. Very good. The floor is yours.
Okay.
For the record, I'll just have you state your name.
I'm Carol Cornwell, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to the Planning Commission for allowing us to speak, and also for the time that you have spent discussing our concerns over the dust. There's just a couple things I think I would add, or maybe we all would add. Generally speaking, I think when people come to Lacombe, we have a lot of things to do. We've got Gull Lake, we've got the corn maze, we've got a lot of things. So I'm not sure that it's just going to be a one trip in, one trip out. So that's my first point. The other point is the people that live behind us have 5 children that are 10 and under, and their yard isn't fenced. So in terms of dealing with people who are not respectful of the speed limit, it could have some consequences I don't think anybody wants. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornwell. I appreciate that. And you were 100% right. However, we do have to keep in mind that alleys and roadways are in fact public alleys and roadways. But your concerns are valid. That's fair. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Fair enough. Does anyone in the commission have anything additional to add? Member Ross?
Thank you, Chair Crisino. You wouldn't have any objections if you instructed your guests to unload their luggage, whatever, at the bunkie and then park at the front. And then there would be nobody in the gallery. There would be no discussion end of the day, right? Because if people unloaded their luggage, and even in the back alley, it's one trip in, and you instructed them to park in the front. And so there would be zero people at the gallery or nothing, because there wouldn't be any concerns. Like, it's, even though the scale of the map, the picture, and it's a huge lot and it's on a huge TV screen, it's really no different than if you were to walk across a hotel parking lot and into the entrance of a hotel parking lot across a parking lot. So, you know, here we're trying to our best to have a lengthy discussion to compromise, but the simplest solution is unload your luggage at the bunkie, park in the front in your resident parking, because usually it's going to be just one vehicle, like as a family or couple travels, and there would be no discussion tonight of trying to compromise this. And yeah, there would be no use of the alley. It'd be one use of the alley and we'd be done. So that's, you know, as much as we all want to see a business succeed, that is the most common sense. You know, you go in the alley, you turn right, you go in the alley once, you unload, you go back to the front, you park, and then your guests have access to the back and they walk once. And like I said, if you parked in any hotel parking lot or in Red Deer anywhere, you're going to walk less with this distance than you are at most hotels, most hotel parking lots. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's.
So to our administration, we did add one condition. Let's just reword that so everybody's on the same page. That is the motion before us on the existing 10 conditions plus an additional one, which I'll have you just read it only, not all of them.
Administration to review dust control concerns after 12 months and take control measures as required.
Member Ross.
Sorry to make it complicated, but with Councillor Gullickson's reasoning and further discussion, I'm like to be always open to that. And it really puts a tremendous amount of onus on our planning and development that is really, honestly, quite unreasonable. And I think I would like to rescind that it's not practical. I think the cost of doing that and the expectations if we start one alley. And Councillor Gullickson's right. But one way I'm trying to find a compromise here, in the other sense, is, like I said, just finished saying, unload it once at the bunkie, drive around front. We have no concerns from any neighbors, and you still have your business license, and you have your business. And so yeah, so if this might not sound appropriate, but I'd like to rescind that because it really does not. It's not practical. It's good discussion and good reasoning, and I just.
If we had not read it into the record, that would be a perfectly viable route to go. However, we have. So it's just a motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Very good. So by striking condition 11 altogether?
Yes.
Very good. So everyone is clear. The next vote will be on removing item number 11 only, not to the overall motion. Does anybody care to speak to that item? All those in favor? Those opposed? Item number 11 is stricken.
Just point of clarification, Chair Creasy, all 5 in favor of removal?
I'm sorry, so it was
Yes,
unanimously in
thank
favor. Which brings us back to the original motion for the approval with the conditions as outlined, which were 10 conditions. Does anybody have anything additional that they would like to address at this point? Member Gullickson?
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'll make that motion that municipal planning
I
committee.
think we already actually have it on the books,
Do we have it on the books?
because that was just a motion to amend was the last one on the main motion. The main motion is still in effect.
Okay, I thought it wasn't.
I believe it was, yes,
Okay, perfect.
by Member Ross. Appreciate you keeping me on my toes, though. So if there's nothing further from any member, then we will consider
Just have
them.
a question, sir.
Certainly, go ahead.
Thank you. So with this current 10 condition motion, the parking is still at the back.
That's correct.
Feel ridiculous considering this, but why can't we just leave the parking in front and unload once
We can do lots of
Parking
things if you care to make a motion.
and you still have your business? At all due respect, you could park your own vehicles in the back and go through your garage. I just don't see the walking as much of an issue. Like, it's a big, beautiful lot without a doubt, but it's just like, when I start thinking of when we've even traveled to conferences, you walk farther at a hotel parking lot than what that is, right?
So the main thing maybe it's not the walking around, I think either way we go, whether they park in the front or they park in the back. Either way, so if they park in the front, then we're gonna use the back alley. If they park in the back, then we won't use the back alley. So, and I assume we're in and out more than what our guests are gonna be. Our guests are probably gonna come there, stay, they might go, I don't know what they're gonna do, I don't wanna say for sure. But whether they park in the front and then take that long walk around, I think if the main concern is the traffic in the back alley, I don't think them parking in the front really will change the amount of vehicles that pass through the back alley.
And if I can say something, I think from a business standpoint, the reason we did that too is like, this way we don't see them. Like it's just, they'll go around the back. Our kids play in the front driveway. We have 3 kids. And it's like, I don't know, just trying to keep it their space, our
Yeah.
space.
Thank you.
It's true, yeah.
Very good. So do we have a motion we'd like to consider or no?
Just one further question. So we can still put in the condition of a 12-month discretionary permit, right?
Yes, you can add that condition again. We can make it a temporary approval for 12 months to be reviewed. That might alleviate the concern that it's placing too much pressure on planning and development or uncertainty. So at 12 months, we could require the applicant to come back for a further approval. And then the commission could review at that time if dust has been a concern. Or we could add another condition. If certain number of complaints are received, then certain measures will be taken for dust. We can certainly add those additional details to the condition.
So I'd like for us to keep in mind the comments made by Member Gullickson. It's not like individuals at this proposed B&B are the only ones using this alley. And to suggest that all complaints of any nature are due to them is unrealistic. This is a public roadway. In saying that, every member has the right to put forth a motion for consideration. Member Contenti.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Creasy, yeah, I don't really agree that we should have a 1-year condition. There's a lot of work that goes into preparing an A and B or Airbnb and all the other things that you have to put on site. And, it's like telling someone that's going to start up another business that we're only going to give you 1-year approval and you've expended all that work and energy. And by the way, we don't like it after the end of that year. And so we're taking it back. So to me, we either give the approval, we do some monitoring based on complaints like we do every other alley and every other thing in the city, and leave it at that.
Member Ross.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. I think we've had a lot of good discussion, and I hope that if there are complaints that we as our administration will bring forth, then hope they're fairly addressed. But I'd like to go forth and make the motion that resolved that the Municipal Planning Commission approved the development permit for a bed and breakfast on the lands zoned residential detached R1 district located at 5050 and 59th Street.
Member Ross, that you,
It's still on.
you've already
My
made that.
apologies.
Unless you choose to make
No,
an amending
my
motion.
sincere apologies. There's a motion still on the floor. We've had so much discussion. I forgot about it. Anyways, my apologies. It's still on the floor.
Fair enough. Thank you. So we have really no changes from the motion as it was presented in our initial package. One last opportunity for members of the commission to bring forth items. If not, then I will call the question. All those in favor? And those opposed? So noted. That was 4 in favor and 1 opposed. Opposed was Member Kent's. Thanks everyone for the robust discussion. It is my hope that this does add yet another amenity to our city, and please be good neighbors.
Thank you. Pardon? We're good? Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Our next meeting is proposed for August 7th. I'm not certain if we have any applications at this time or not, but we will be notified accordingly.
Yes, we were waiting for one application to come in today. So if we get it even tomorrow morning, then August 7th will still be a go, but I'll update you guys.
Very good. And let's go over the summary of development permits issued by your office.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. All right, so the first one is a 0.58 meter, 12% front yard setback variance and a 0.26 meter, 43% side yard setback variance for existing detached dwelling. So that's at 5204 59th Street Crescent, and that's because variances over 15% can be approved by the development officer if no oppositions or appeals are received. None were received, so the permit was issued. The next one is a 0.3 meter, 10% side yard setback variance on a proposed semi-detached dwelling at 5139 52 Street. And that one is approved because variances under 15% can be approved by the development officer. The next one is a 0.34 meter front yard setback variance for multi-attached housing. That's 5 units. So that's from 54 to 70 Harvest Point. Discretionary use permits can be approved by the development officer if no opposition or appeals are received. None were received, so the permit was issued. Next one is a 1.64 meter, 21% rear yard setback variance for a proposed covered deck at 70 Parlby Crescent. And again, no opposition or appeals were received on that one. And the next one is a 40% variance to height from grade for a proposed fascia sign at 4929 50th Avenue. Variances over 15% can be approved if no opposition or appeals were received. And the last one was a home occupation 2 personal services. That's massage therapy at 25 Sandstone Avenue. And we did not receive any opposition, so we were able to issue that permit as well. Thank you.
Appreciate that summary. Thank you. I believe that concludes our business for this evening. Member Contenti.
Thank you, Chairman Creasy. I so move that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. All those in favor? Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.